Greetings and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about a dramatic, destructive derailment and Conrail management lies. So, back in around 1990, we were called to recrew Conrail train PYSE, more about that later, and operated from Philadelphia to Newark, New Jersey. When we arrived at the train, we saw the paperwork indicated that the train consisted of 135 cars, all loaded, and 3 SD40-2 locomotives. We started on our trip, and we got to CP River, the Schuylkill River, on the low-grade line, track 1, and we started the uphill climb to Nicetown. It was a pretty heavy pull, and I knew it was going to be, so I kept it at 10 miles an hour, and by the time we got to Nicetown, we were in the 8th notch, and the train was dropping in speed to about 9 miles an hour. We entered the cut just east of the tower, of Nice Tower, on track 1, and it was a tight left-hand curve. We entered the curve, and we were down to about 8 miles an hour in the 8th notch, still struggling. I was putting down sand, and then all of a sudden, the locomotives lurched forward, and the train brakes went in emergency, and everything stopped, locomotives included. The conductor walked back, and he said we were on the ground. We were derailed. Turns out the head end of the train, the head 12 cars or so, had been pulled off the curve. It's called string lining or clotheslining. The lateral forces were just too strong for those head cars of the train. And it didn't help that the head cars were loaded trail van cars with trailer trucks on them. Those cars are relatively light compared to a loaded boxcar, and they just couldn't stay on the rails in that curve. So incidentally, PYSE stands for Pot Yard to Selkirk. Pot Yard being Potomac Yard in Alexandria, Virginia. The train had operated over the CSX and Amtrak on the way to Philadelphia before we recruited it. And Amtrak had a policy that Conrail freight trains could not exceed 135 cars on the Northeast Corridor. And I believe that's because the railroad south of Baltimore was extremely challenging for train handling. It was not engineered for freight trains, but engineered for passenger trains. And so a road foreman showed up, and he asked me what happened, and I told him. He also took the event recorder tapes from the locomotives, and we got recrewed, relieved, and we deadheaded home on Amtrak to Newark, New Jersey. On the next trip to Philadelphia, that same road foreman looked me up and said that he had reviewed the tapes, and that I was right. I was only doing 8 miles an hour, in spite of the fact that a maintenance away foreman swore that I must have been doing 40 miles an hour, judging from all the destruction at the scene. And indeed, it was, it looked like a bomb had gone off. One of the loaded trailer trucks had a telephone pole completely through it. And there were cars just scattered all around. And the adjacent track, track 2, had been completely demolished. And I never got any trouble. I never got in any trouble over it because I was doing what I was supposed to be doing. But the railroad, Conrail, had misled the CSX and Amtrak over the car count. The road foreman told me that there were 157 loaded cars on the train, not 135. So nowadays, that wouldn't happen because there are roadside scanners on the right-of-way that scan the train and list each car number as well as the locomotive numbers and even the marker number on the back. So that's the story of the Conrail's Nicetown wreck that took out the low-grade Track 2. Anyway, take care and put some sand down.